this was me yesterday at 11:20 p.m. crying my heart out after reading Just Kids by Patti Smith. This book made me cry so much yesterday. It's been so long since I was so emotionally invested in a book, and this one just made me cry so much. I was crying my heart out. Actually, I also cried at the very beginning and at the end it was just some next level, another experiencing crying. Hi guys, I am Sophia, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video I am reviewing Just Kids by Patti Smith. Now, I love this book and this is a recommendation, but this is also a little tribute and some sort of visual expression of how I feel about this book to you guys. First things first, I want to talk a bit about what is this book and what is it about. This is a memoir written by the American artist Patti Smith, writer, poet, musician, artist Patti Smith, and she reflects back and goes back to her life in New York City in late 60s all the way to the late 70s, beginning of the 80s. So she speaks about her life there with artist, I always messed up his name. Okay, I need to get his name kind of right because I don't want to be messing up his name so much. Yeah, with the artist Robert Mapplethorpe. Okay, so she is basically talking about their lives when they first met in New York City in the late 60s till they part in the beginning of the 80s. And this time New York City is the scene full of artists. It's the world of Andy Warhol, everything about art, photography, music. It was the hub for the artists, and everyone that wanted to make it would go to New York. And this side is beautifully pictured by Patti Smith, and she's basically telling the story about how she first went there and she was basically sleeping in the street, without eating, not having a single penny, and how she met Robert afterwards, and together they make this life with each other, and they make their art, their drawings, their poetry, their work together, and how they promised each other to one day make it. And she takes us throughout these years of them trying to make it into the art scene of New York. Now, this is the general idea, but this book is beautiful on so many ways because you get to, once again, with Patti Smith, discover the process of making art and everything that goes into the mind and the everyday life of the artist, which is so important, especially before the artist actually makes it and becomes a recognized member of the artist community or have some sort of recognition as an artist by the people. And we meet some great figures like Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Andy Warhol, so many of these people that Patti and Robert met. This book is a tribute to Robert Mapplethorpe. This is no spoiler because we know it from the beginning. He is going to die from AIDS in the 80s, and this is a tribute to their life together and to their really interesting relationship. They started as lovers, but they end up being more of artist and muse and artist. It was, as they call it, an interchangeable relation between them. Then Patti goes on and marries Fred, but they still are friends, call it best friend. They have this really special relationship, and this book is a beautiful visual written ode to this relationship. It is heartbreaking. At the beginning of the book I already cried because I knew how it was gonna end and I could see it coming. and it was just too much for me to take. The way she describes him, the way she describes their life together, how much they get along, how much they view things likewise, simply like objects, ideas, places, people, how they share so much emotionally, and how they have this beautiful artistic communion. Other than this, she dives so much into this mystical relationship of the artist, and she really goes into detail about how an artist gets inspiration, how she writes her poems, how she draws her drawings, how Robert takes his photographs, and so on and so forth. And she talks about the struggles of the artist, but she beautifully speaks about the struggles of the artist. Once again, the writing is so poetic and so lyrical. She is by far one of my favorite writers, as in the actual writing itself. I love the way she writes. I love that every sentence, everything she says sounds like poetry in prose, or even singing sometimes. It's just, she's a genius. She has this power of making writing sound like a song, which I love. And I actually have tons of notes on this book. My heart is still so heavy just thinking about this book, because I just finished it yesterday. It was so beautiful. Yeah, there is one thing that this book explores, is the nature of human relationships. How do we really define the nature of relationships we have with people? Like, you know, friend, best friend, boyfriend, sister, brother, what are they really? And what defines a relationship, and what are the rules of the relationship as a concept? It also explores topics like youth, the hope of youth, the motivation, the drive, the craziness, the excitement of being young and having a goal and wanting to work like towards it. She did it so nicely. And you know, you would want to read this book with a pen, because I feel that this is my most annotated book. I have so many annotations all over the place in this book. Yeah, so many beautiful sentences, so many meaningful ideas, so many, like, you just read the words and it hits you right into this spot. The nostalgia here is crazy. She is absolutely genius in working and crafting nostalgia into her writing, so you just find yourself being nostalgic. You're just nostalgic, and this is not your story, obviously. You've never met these people, but you're so nostalgic. Like, I think I see this book and I'm like, this book is melancholic nostalgia at its best, and a beautiful tribute. I think that no one can like pay tribute to the dead, all of the, like, the death in her life as beautifully as Patti Smith did. And actually she promised Robert before dying that she would write their story, and I think she did it greatly. Of course, as of Patti Smith books, there are a lot of photographs from her personal archives, drawings, pieces of art. At the end there is a lot of visual support, the poem she wrote for his memorial. This is his memorial card when he died. There is a lot of photography, and it's beautiful because, you know, it immerses you into the New York of the 70s, 60s, and it was a scene vibrant with rock and roll, pop art, folk, indie artists. It's such a nice part, like, it's nice, just a nice time to be written about, and to read about, actually. Yeah, and the thing that really touched me, I feel like, is the honesty and the truthfulness that she is literally directing to the reader. She is so honest, and her writing might read as like beautiful, lyrical, poetic, but it's very down to earth, and she really describes little blocks of her everyday life, and she does this in such a beautiful manner. This book is so sad, you are going to cry, and I would totally understand. I was just sitting and I was thinking about all the people in my life right now, friends, family, of course, and you think about the moments you're sharing with them right now, and then you think about 20, 30 years from now, what might happen, what in under which light would you throw your moments, and how are you going to speak about these moments you shared with these people? How is it going to be like? How would you feel? So you would be definitely thinking and going so much into what I like to call emotional thinking. So it's a thinking process that is really led but by emotions more than logic. So this is what this book did, and I immediately related with her, with him, with their relationship. There is absolutely heartwarming and so special. What did I want to say? Something else here. Yeah, you will reflect a lot on your. These are my notes. You will reflect a lot on your experience. You are just going to be looking at life and be like, you never know when you are going to lose the people you love and how things change. Life is very volatile. It's just ephemeral. But yeah, it got the National Book Award, and I totally see why. I totally can see why. This book might be for you, it might not be, it depends, but I think that the emotional discharge in this book is so strong that it can speak to anyone, if that makes sense. I feel that everyone can relate to at least some spots of human relationships and emotions that were spoken about in this writing. I love Patti Smith, she's really great. I also follow her on Instagram. She is maybe, I don't know what, she might be what, 17 or late 70s now, but she's such an energetic, cool artist, activist, still being very active, sharing nice little piece of writing and life reporting on her Instagram, and such a hopeful little corner of the internet. I love her so much, and I would highly recommend this book if you're looking for something that is short, that is meaningful, that is beautifully written, that would make an impact on you, that would touch your emotion, that would make you think, and that will teach you a lot about a part in history, especially if you're into rock and roll music, art, or just simply if you love to read about people's life and be immersed in their nostalgic journey. This is definitely for you. I hope that I gave it some justice, because, you know, speaking of it, my heart is still super heavy and I'm just like, I'm so sad. But I was like, what am I gonna say in this review? Sometimes I just like have zero idea what to say to really like give full on rights and full on credits to a book. This one is one of those hard ones that, as much as I'm going to talk about what I feel for this book, is so much stronger than anything I could possibly say about it. And I was writing a poem this morning to Patti Smith, because this is what this book made me do, is write poems about it, because it's just, yeah, sometimes you just want to find an alternative form of expression, because normal talking is really, you know, not enough. So yeah, this is for the soul of the emotional, the deep thinker, the emotional thinker. This is for you, my friend. This is for you, my friend. You kiddos, if you're reading this, get your tissues ready, because there's gonna be some serious crying when you're gonna read this. It is serious. Yeah, I hope that I don't know, I hope that when you watch this, you were like, maybe I should pick that book up, because I really think you should. If you are having doubts, just do it and thank me later. So, this is it for my video today, a very emotional one. I feel like I'm being sad when I'm speaking about this book, or like, yeah, my aura is a bit sad, but it's just because this is really how I feel. Just speaking about it makes me again so emotional, and I just read it yesterday. So the emotions and the feels are still very fresh. Anyways guys, thank you again for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel if you're not already. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see next, and just let me know if you have a specific book that made you cry so much or that had this heavy emotional impact on you guys. And yeah, because it's been so long since the book did this to me, so I'm still into the transition phase. I can't pick up another book yet, so I have to transition from this one first. Anyways guys, have an amazing rest of the day, evening, whatever you're watching this. You've got this. I'm sending you so much positive energy as per usual, and see you in my next video. Bye!